Okay, so they're going to give us a graph now, and they want us to not only find the domain, they also want us to find the range, okay? So in example 6, here's the graph, and we're going to find the domain and the range. The domain is going to be along the x-axis. So it's going from this right here, and it looks like that's an open dot there at -3. So the domain is going to be from, open dot, so not including -3. And then I'm walking all the way along here. The graph is everywhere until I get to this point, 1. And that's a closed dot right there. Okay, so from -3 to 1, and then that's going to be a square bracket on the 1. Now, what that means then is you could pick any x value between -3 and 1 and get to the graph. So you pick -2.2, you could get to the graph there. Okay, so that graph is continuous all through those x values. There's a point on the graph for all those x values. All right, that's what that means. Let me erase this now so we can do the range. Okay, so the range, I tell my students, they turn your head the other way. So now we have to go from the y-axis. So I'm going to use R for range, and you're going to go from bottom to top. So it looks like the lowest point on our graph is right here, those 2 points, which are at -4, and those are solid dots on both of them. You can't see it now because I covered it up, but so it's going to be a square bracket, -4, up to, and then how high does it go up? What's the highest point? Well, right here is a point, and then you might be concerned about this open dot there. It looks like that highest point is 0, right at the x-axis. The y value is 0. One of the dots, or one of the points, is open and the other is closed. Because there is a closed point, we're going to go ahead and include it. So there is a point that has a range value of 0. Okay, if you didn't have that point, say this curvy part here didn't quite go up that high, then you wouldn't include the 0. You'd have an open parenthesis there. But because it's included at that point that I have all covered up with my writing, you can see that that is an actual point there. Right there. Okay? All right, so that's the domain and the range. So domain goes along the x-axis, and then range is going along the y-axis. You go from bottom, smallest value, to top. Okay? Left to right, bottom to top. Okay. Now this next example. When they give us examples like this, it's a real-world example. It's talking about Alaska crude oil production. It has the years along the bottom, it looks like. So they start with 1975 to 2005, they're kind of showing that. And then along the y-axis, it's thousands of barrels per day. Okay, so that's how many are being produced. I don't like this example, and it's in your textbook. You can look at your textbook. But here's why I don't like it, because you can't really tell where it starts. So if I'm talking about the domain, well, I know it's before 1975, but what is that? Is it 1974, 1972? Your book says it's 1973. I don't know where they base that. It could be from data from another chart or something, but I don't know. Maybe it's about 1970, I'll say 1973, just to go along with the book. But if you had put 1972 or 1974, I don't think I could mark that wrong, because they don't really give you any indication what the exact value is. Okay, there's no tally marks to show what it is. So you're kind of guessing. But then how far does it go? Well, we see here's 2005, right? 2005. And it's going a little past that. How much past that? I don't know, 2008 maybe? But again, I don't like this example because they really don't give you the information to tell you exactly where it's stopping. So you might say, well, it continues on and on. They don't have any indication with the arrow showing that graph continues, and they don't show any more points after that. Okay, so that's the domain, and then the range. The range. Well, it looks like we're starting at about 200 barrels. So I'll go ahead and include that. Up to, and it looks to me about 2,000. Your book says something else, but to me it looks like it's stopping at 2,000. They say it's a little bit more than that. But again, it's really hard to tell based on the graph. And sometimes in the real world, you have to do that. You just have to take, kind of a rough estimate guess on what those values are going to be. Okay? So they don't explain that, though, in the book. They just come up with these numbers. So, we're just taking our best guess from the graph that's given to us. Okay?